Hey everyone, welcome to our season 1, episode number 3 of Unstoppable Entrepreneur Live. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you guys joining us either live or on the recording. Now, what I wanted to step you guys through today is a really cool way that I think is the easiest way for you to set up yourself for success. And this is all around reverse engineering. So I remember in 2010, 2011, when I was growing and I was, trying to grow the business rather and trying to get things up and rolling. It was really hard. I found it really hard to stay focused. I found it really hard to know exactly what to do, when to do it, and all that kind of thing. Now, as you guys are coming on, can you please just let me know that you can hear me, just with a thumbs up or a love heart, please? I'd really appreciate it. Sometimes we get dodginess going on with the microphone, so it's a little bit weird. So, I remember back then, it was so freaking hard to try and work out what I was doing, where I was going, and everything like this. I mean, I've always had this really big vision for what I want, how I want to get there, and really ultimately what it is that I want to be doing. But and most people know this like for themselves. Now let me hang on, I'm gonna draw you a picture. Hold on. This is how you know we're flying by the seat of your pants. Alright. So and we're back in the room. Okay. So most people know that what their end game is. Right? So I don't know if you guys can see that particularly well. It's made very professional props. So we've got the end game up over here, and this is where we're starting. All right, so we're going to put start and end game. Now, usually what happens is that people think that they're just going to toddle along and get to where it is that they want to be, working along this way. Now, most of the time, people have got, and you can let me know if this sounds familiar for you guys as well, it's like, you know what your vision is, right? You know what your big ass goal is. You have these visions of precisely where it is that you're going to end up for the short term, right? So it could be being on stage, it could be being on television, it could be helping loads of people, it could be developing a charity, it could be so many different things. Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Excellent. I'm glad you can hear me. Thank goodness. All right. So you've got these really big goals with where it is that you want to be, with what you want to achieve. And you know where you're at, like right now, yeah? And we've got to get over here somewhere. So what tends to happen is we have these cycles of not really particularly neat cycles of awesomeness up here and crapness down here. So generally when we're starting, it's like we've got to build massive momentum and get up over here, and that's great. But really, it's like there are going to be times where everything is not always fantastic and awesome. Morning, Marilyn. And that's okay, right? So long as you've got that awareness. Where your reverse engineering comes in, right? If you know that this is the end game, if you know that it is a later mazeb, that it is a foregone conclusion, that it is already like that future that you're visualizing, that goal that you've created in your head, you know that it's going to happen. The thing that most people get stuck with is, yeah, okay, that's awesome and that's inspiring and that's exciting and, I really want to get to that point, but how the hell do I even do that? So that's where your reverse engineering comes into play. And I know for me and for the clients that I've utilized this strategy for and with, it works every single time. Okay, so here's the deal. The first thing that you've got to be aware of is what is your vision? What is it that you really want to be creating? Where is it that you're going? What is that thing for you? Now, for me, like I know at some point in time in the future, somewhere, there's like big stages. I've always had that ever since I was, 8 years old, 9 years old, singing at the back of our massive block to the crops, actually. I remember thinking, like, I pretended that I was on stage, and all the little crops, all the little beans, and the things that were growing in the farm, rather, over, that wasn't our farm, but someone else's farm, like they were the audience. I just knew that was, morning, Margaret, that was something that it was just there. It was always going to happen. So I know that that's sort of there. The thing that we need to do next, though, is go, all right, well, if that's the end game, then what is the thing that has to happen before that? So let me grab a different color texture. Hold on. Because otherwise, you're just not going to be able to... Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see what I'm talking about. All right. So that's your end game up over here where the dark dot is, right? And you're like, all right, ignore the messy bits for now. What are the bits that have to happen before this up here, right? So if this is your timeline, and this might be a year, this might be 3 years, it might be 25 years, like the time frame is really kind of irrelevant. But you've got that thing there, all right? So what needs to happen here in order for that to happen? You might not know that yet. So let's say now I work with coaches, mentors, trainers, people looking at doing e-courses, people who are really in the business of transformation, right? They're the kinds of people that I work with. Now, if your goal, what a lot of people tell me, now I hope this isn't going to be reversed, it'll be kind of hilarious if it is. That may well be reversed. How funny. There you go. You'll get the point. So freedom, you guys want freedom, lifestyle. You want a butt ton of money, right? You want loads of money, which is great. You want choice. And the reason that you want all of that for the most part is because you want to have choice, right? You want to have the choices to do what it is that you want, whether it's provide for your children or whatever the case might be. So that's the end goal up over here. So what needs to happen before that? Well, what we know, and actually this is relevant for everybody, well, you've got to have a pool of clients, right? You've got to have people that you can actually help. Yeah? Otherwise it's just not going to work. So we've got to get some people to help. And we know that if you help enough people, then that next thing is going to happen. Yeah? So thank you. Great. I'm pleased that this is making sense, even though I think it is showing up back to front. But anyway, that's the beauty of live things being live and awesome. So if you've got to get some pool of clients to help, well, what needs to happen before that? Well, you've got to be talking to people, right? So that's got to be the stage that happens before this. You've got to be talking to people, because if you're not talking to people, then they don't know that you can help them. So the way that we need to then get that happening is we need to get some marketing happening, right? Thanks, guys. Awesome. Got to get some marketing happening. So in order to get some marketing happening, you've got to know a bit more about who you are and who they are. So what I mean by that is, we're back over here. So like, who are you? What makes you different? What makes you stand out? What makes you unique? And how do we align that with the people that you want to help? Because they're going to come in. Oh my God, should have done this on a whiteboard. They're going to come in later on down the track, right? So we've got to get these people sorted up here so that we can start to build them into your pipeline and into your funnel and into your vision. So before all of that happens, though, we kind of need to top and tail what your vision is. So you've got to get clear on your vision in order to get over here and do this. Now, all of these stages contain micro stages, right? But if you're sitting here and you're sitting here going like, oh my gosh, I would love to have a $1 million a year business, right? And in order to do that, I need to have 100 clients or 10,000 clients or however many clients it is that you need to have based on what you're doing. most of the time, if you're here in this timeline, if you're here and you're trying to work out what you need to do up here, that's when overwhelm kicks in. That's when frustration kicks in. That's where you just kind of go, oh my God, like this is just too freaking hard. I'm done. Self-doubt kicks in, all of that other stuff. So the thing that we've got to do at this point is go, all right, well, what's the very next best step that I need to take? Do you need to have this sorted out? Yes. Do you need to understand what the timeline is? And it might not be timeline in like weeks and months timeline, but the flow really. And then working back what each of those things are from there. Because then all you need to do, if you're here right now, you just focus on the next best thing that you can do. That's it. That's your job. Your job right now is focusing on the very next best thing that you can do. And you know that if you've done it in this way, so you do the first thing and then you rewind it back, and you make sure it's all aligned, you know that if you're doing this, then it's going to get you the next step on the way to where it is that you want to be. Does that make sense, everyone? Please let me know that this is making sense, even though my words are probably back to front in the imagery. All right, I'm going to take that as a yes. Fantastic. All right. So now if you guys have questions, please go ahead and type them in here, because as you know, I want to make sure that I'm answering these and making sure that they're relevant for you. So the first step with reverse engineering is knowing what your vision is. All right. And then from there, what we now need to do is to develop a plan around what it is that you're going to now do and have you moving forward. So when you're thinking about your plans, now having a business plan that you've built for an accountant or something like that doesn't really count in the strategic planning that I'm talking about. I need you guys to know exactly what it is that you're focusing on a daily basis. Now, what I know when you're doing that, again, it means that you don't have to think. Hands up if you're an overthinker. I know I am. I had this thought this morning actually. I was in the shower and I'm getting ready and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. I'm great at coming up with ideas, right? I've got so many ideas, it's just not even funny. But I'm coming up with these different ideas in the shower and I'm like, oh no, stop it, Nicola, it's fine. Like, just what's the next best thing that you need to do? What's the next thing that you need to do? Great, Anya. Yes. Good morning. I didn't see your name pop up before. So nice to see you. So great at coming up with ideas, right? And the thing with that is that if you then try and implement all of those ideas, what can end up happening on the front end of your marketing and with everything else that you're doing, it can actually feel and it can look a little scattered, almost like schizophrenic, where you're doing that thing and now you're doing that thing and then you're doing that thing and then you're doing that thing and then you're trying to implement this, and it becomes really, oh, thanks, Anya. It can become really overwhelming and confusing, and you end up with this trail of half implemented things that you just don't get finished and therefore you don't make money around. So a plan is really important, but the plan where it's less of a to-do list but more of an action plan. So you've got your steps laid out. So for example, if we're looking at the you and them stage in here, so if we're thinking about marketing, right? And we're looking at what makes you different and what are you going to leverage from yourself in order to get out there and to make stuff happen. And we're looking at the them thing. So there's going to be actions in here. So let's look at them because I love the niching conversation. So let's talk about niche. Now, if in your big plan, you know where you're going and you're not quite sure yet, you know, who that person is that you're going to be talking to or who it is that you're going to be marketing to. The very, very next thing, morning Ains, the very, very next thing that you need to do is go, all right, well, who is my niche? Now, a niche is not someone between the ages of 18 and 65. That is the general population, not including children. So you want to be thinking about, right, who is the ideal person? Who is it that I would love to help? Who have I helped in the past that I would love to clone if only it were legal, right? So you might have some clients now who are really awesome that you would love to attract. You might love to get more people like those onto the books and be able to help them. So you've got to do some work around that. Now, the tactical stuff that needs to get put into your plan are things like do the research, decide on a niche, learn how they speak, what are their big problems, how am I going to help them, like what are the things that I'm going to solve for them, where do they live, how many children do they have, what's their financial status, what do they worry about at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So there's some tactics that need to be implemented at this level, and that's why the reverse engineering stuff is really important, because it becomes sequential. Does that make sense, everyone, please? Just let me know that you are with me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anya. Okay, lovely. So that's that. Now, I guess the big part about, thanks Ainsley, the big part, I guess, like the next thing, thanks Rebecca, the next thing that most people tend to do is they get their little plan, and then thank you Blake, awesome, morning Pamela, good evening Pamela, afternoon even, they get their reverse engineer plan sorted. And then they go and build out a list of action steps from there. Now, most people, most entrepreneurs, this can be where they wobble, all right? This can be where they wobble because they don't fully implement, or they get confused, or they get stuck, or they don't fully execute the thing that they need to do. And what that means is that they get part way along here and then they kind of fall off the wagon. Now, you can see here that there are some days, or this could be a day, this could be a month, this could be a week, this could be a quarter, a year, like it could be anything in terms of timeline. What happens is people tend to get really excited, and if you're entrepreneurial, you know what I'm talking about, right? You get all excited up over here, and you're like, yeah, I can do this, I can do this. And then you're in constant, oh, there you go, sorry, you're in constant action mode. And then something can kind of happen where we kind of go, oh. And it doesn't really feel very nice down here. That might be your ads aren't working at the moment. It might be that your cash flow dips. It might be that your motivation pulls back a little bit. It might be that you've got other external factors going on in your life that you need to start to deal with and focus on. And so the business can take a little bit of a back seat, right? So this can kind of come back around here, and you've got to have a way of being able to re-propel you up and out of the funk, essentially. And that's why having that to-do list is really critical. Having that action list is really, really critical. That is the freakouts, Rebecca. Exactly. And that can look like, that can be on purpose. It could be like in terms of self-sabotage, maybe not consciously on purpose, but those things can happen as a result of you getting some really quick success. It could be as a result. One of my clients said to me, she's like, I know every time I get a new client, I take my foot off the pedal, so I've got to make sure that I stop doing that. And that's exactly what can happen, because momentum breeds momentum, right? Movement causes more movement. So yes, there will be times that these sort of flip around. Now, these don't have to be bad, right? It can just be where things maybe need to change up a little bit. So that's really the reverse engineering conversation that I really, really wanted to share with you. I think the big thing, one of the really big messages that I can share with you today are there are going to be highs and there are going to be lows. Neither of those are sustainable, right? So what you want to do is find some type of middle ground where you're feeling awesome, you're feeling aligned, you're feeling jazzed, on fire, and you're taking action and you're getting things moving, all right? Because that's really when results are going to come, and where you have got sustainability and longevity. Does that make sense? Now, what I'd love to do is I'd love to open up to Q&A. So if you've got any questions, you're very welcome to go ahead and type those in there. Thank you, Ainsley. I'm glad you're on it. Awesome, Anya. Thank you. You know, the best thing that you could ever do is get something implemented and get it implemented now. There is no time better to start marketing, to start growing your business, to start meeting that end game than yesterday, right? Because it's only going to get harder. The competition is only going to get more fierce. The industry is only going to get bigger. So whatever niche it is that you're playing in. So start doing stuff like yesterday. Like find someone to help you and get stuff moving. And really, honestly, the best advice I can ever give anybody is to find some freaking accountability so that you've got someone who you can answer to, who you can kick your butt if you're not implementing, and also who can help you strategically. Your friends don't count for that, okay? They don't get what you're doing strategically. So that's that. The other thing, like if you need some help doing these, the big offer that I'd love to make you guys today is just leave your name and phone number underneath here, or you can message me and we'll organize a time to hop on the phone and have a bit of a chat about where you want to take your coaching practice over the next 6 to 12 months. So I'd love to invite you to do that. Now, in the meantime, what else did I want to tell you? I started learning about this process really primarily in 2011. That was when I knew there had to be a better way, rather than starting work at 7 a.m. and finishing at 2 a.m. and dealing with the kids and husbands and, everything else in between. I knew there had to be a better way because the life that I was living and the way that I was growing my business back then was not sustainable. And yes, I was looking for outside motivation. Yes, I was looking for different things that I could implement and do and study in order to get moving. And this is wholeheartedly the best way that I could find to get everything into alignment. So if you imagine that, this is not planned, so hopefully this will work. So let's imagine that everything is lined up, right? Much like what we've talked about on your plan. If everything's lined up and you know that all the action steps that you're taking are going to get you to here, but if you've kind of got like something goes off to the side here, this isn't working as well as what I thought it might, maybe we'll put it up over there. All right. If you don't have a plan and things aren't in alignment, let's go like that. The lid is never going to get on the texter, right? Nothing is ever going to align up. Nothing is ever going to work in the way that it should because it's not optimized and it's not in alignment. Let me see the picture with everything that you're doing, right? So if you don't know what this is, then you'll keep getting kicked off the success timeline. It's inevitable, right? Because it's not aligned, you don't know where you're going, you're just kind of winging it. Will you get some success? Well, you may end up with some success, but is it going to be long-term sustainable? Probably not. So that is my little thing on reverse engineering. Do you guys have any questions? Anya, any questions for me? Rebecca, Ainsley, who else has commented on here? Hey, Pamela, Blake, Margaret, Joe, Marilyn, anything else that I can answer for you about how to make this work for you? And obviously, if you're catching the recording, you know that I answer pretty much every comment and every question in here, so you'll see that coming through. You're welcome, Ainsley. My pleasure. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, I will love you and leave you. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 3 of Unstoppable Entrepreneur. I really want you guys to just keep moving. Ainsley, yes, keep moving forward in the direction with focus on the end goal. Exactly. You're welcome, Margaret. Excellent. Fantastic. All righty. So Your next step, as I said, if you want to hop on the phone, leave your phone number below, or you can message me. Now, this is for coaches, mentors, trainers, people who are doing e-courses, or people who are in the transformation industry. It must be your own business, not multi-level marketing, not network marketing, not franchises. Like, it's got to be your business, because I don't have any sort of experience in any of those other ones. So that's that. You're welcome, Rebecca. Have a beautiful, amazing, productive, kick-assy, results-filled week. If you haven't got your plans done yet, make sure you go and do that so that you can get rolling and get moving. Let's see, Pamela, I just started my ads this week and I'm getting $2.86 for webinar registrations. Boom, baby. And it's an automated webinar. Things are finally starting to move forward. Congratulations. Super proud of you. Super proud of you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to be over your way in a couple of weeks. I'm heading over to Vegas in a couple of weeks as well. So, yeah, I mean, not quite Canada, but, you know, it's a lot more, it's a lot closer than Australia. All right, guys, take care. Have a kick-ass week, and I will see you next week. Actually, next week, we are talking about families. Yay! So we're talking about kids and families and managing all of them while you're growing your business. Now, for some of you know, I have 3 kids. They are now 15, 10, and 8. And good grief, when I first started, I had 3. They were all under 10, maybe under 9 even. They were little people, maybe under 8. They were little people, and it's taken a lot of work and conscious awareness on our part and my part to keep things together and to keep everybody moving and ticking along. So that's next week, how to keep everybody involved and keep your family together. And I think that's a big part of like this whole balance conversation. It's not just about growing the business. To me, family is also critically important. So we'll be talking about that next week. So if you have any questions, obviously, as I said, like leave them below. You can message me, email me, and we'll be on the call next week. So same time, same place. Get anything that you want to know about families, mitigating it, communication, dealing with running a business from home whilst your kids are home as well. That's always fun. Like, have them ready and prepped, and I'll answer them for you next week. All right, everybody, take care. See you. Love you. Bye.